enjoy that, Phil. Oh, I've got nothing. It's Phil!
That wonderful introduction. Okay, my story is called The Story of an Hour, an homage to the great storyteller Chopin. Knowing that, there we go. Knowing that Mrs. Mallard was afflicted with heart trouble, great care was taken to break to her as gently as possible the news of her husband's death. She was standing in the park near the lichen-coated bench when Josephine spotted her and waddled over, delivering the tragic news in broken sentences and with awkward nods of her head. Brentley had been hit by a train, Josephine eventually explained. "Oh, Louise, I'm so sorry," Josephine began crying with soft squeaking sobs. Louise Mallard stared thoughtfully at the mud below her feet. "Look," said Josephine between sobs. "Richard's coming over. It was him that saw it happen." Richard was wandering over from the direction of the pond, his invasive, honking voice shouting from a distance as he approached. "Louise, Josephine, dear God, what a tragedy. It was the 4:15 to Patchway. He just shot out in front of it without looking. We'd been munching some cabbage in Ashley Down allotment, and this guy yelled at us. Brentley just shot off in front of the train. I can't believe it. I just can't believe it." Richard was with them now, looming over and booming down at them. The driver didn't even see as he smashed into him. It was below his window, and now Brentley's broken body is all mashed into the grill on the front of the train, ready to terrify the passengers waiting at the next platform. "Richard, please don't be so graphic," Louise asked quietly. "I'm sorry," honked Richard. "I must be in a bit of shock. I've just never seen anything like it. Brentley just exploded into blood and feathers. His beak shattered like thin pond ice." Louise Mallard nodded slowly. "Okay, thank you, Mr. Goose. I think I need some time on my own now." And she turned towards the pond. Richard Goose bowed and headed towards a couple eating sandwiches on the lush grass by the oak tree. Josephine followed Louise closely. They waddled down the bank and smoothly entered the water. Louise kicked gently, but Josephine was particularly fast for a moorhen and kept up, jabbering on about what a top duck Brentley was. Louise nodded absently and then plunged her head under the water, looking for food. She couldn't see any weeds, but stayed there bottom up, holding her breath, enjoying the silence of being underwater. She popped up, and Josephine was right in front of her face. "I think we should discuss your emotional well-being." A big breath, and she went under again without answering. "How do I feel?" she asked herself. "Brentley is dead." They had been together a lifetime, married for 3 whole years, had 12 ducklings that had all grown up and left. Brentley's plumage was incredible, the richest green head in the whole of Eastville Park, the finest duck of his day. But maybe there's something more to life than nice feathers. He was a bit of a drip, and the sex was terrible. Mostly, he was just boring. He never wanted to get away from the pond, never wanted to explore. The allotment was literally the furthest place he went. I'm different, she thought, full of ambition, but I'm stuck here with the same faces every day, bored. But I'm free now, free. I'm going to get out of here, see the world, those amazing places I've heard about, like Filton. Richard once told me if you follow the river from Bedminster, you will eventually hit the sea, the biggest pond in the world. Brentley didn't even believe it existed. Well, I'm going to find out. Louise surfaced. Josephine, she said, I'm going to explore the world. One day I'll tell you all about it. She began flapping her wings and water walking. She took off. followed the river through the centre of town and saw the city open up underneath her. Other animals shrinking to specks as she ascended higher than buildings, higher than ducks should fly. She felt adrenaline course her veins. She flew over Cabot Circus and Castle Park. She flew over Bedminster. What a sight it was. The roof of Asda was a feat of human engineering that glimmered like a metallic lake. The river opened up, and she flew even higher as she followed its path. Other ducks looked up with admiration. The buildings started making way to countryside and trees. She had never seen such beauty. The vast greenery of the slopes of Ashton Gate Park. She approached the suspension bridge and flapped harder. The creeping exhaustion meant she couldn't help but let out a small quack with each wing beat. If she could just climb a little higher, she would be able to go over the bridge and see over the tops of the huge cliffs that were rising at her sides. She began the ascent. This was the most thrilling moment of her life. She soared up over the bridge and could see such a wide vista, her beak opened in astonishment. Up ahead, she saw the blue horizon. The rumours were true. The almighty pond. She flapped hard, then felt her chest tighten suddenly. She gasped for breath, but somehow couldn't breathe in. An intense pain shot through her body, and she stopped flapping and began falling from the sky, clutching her wings across her chest, still trying to inhale. She fell without control towards the water, unable to spread her wings in time to slow the impact. She hit the water like a rock and heard the loud crack of ribs breaking. She was floating on her back, unable to move, facing the sky. It felt like a dream. Her eyes were trying to close. The pain was lifting. She didn't know if she was breathing. She smiled and watched the clouds, knowing the river was taking her towards the giant pond.